so sharp.
Oh, that was short and sweet.
It is short and sweet. We've swapped sides.
We're in the studio, but we're on. I wonder if anyone can tell. We're on different sides. It's like when you sleep. You know, when you go and stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
And do you always sleep on the same side of the bed?
I have all of it.
Do you?
Because I'm in hotels mainly on my own.
Do you ever remember choosing the side of the bed that you sleep on?
No.
I don't. I just got into it one day, and that turned out to be the side of the bed I sleep on for the rest of my life. But sometimes when I go and stay in a hotel, I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to sleep on
the other
side.
We need to talk about your thumb, because your thumb is currently bandaged. And I must say, possibly the most perfect bandage I think I've ever seen. That was done at the hospital.
I'm brilliant at I'm brilliant at bandaging finger injuries.
If ever I'm in trouble, like,
just come over.
Yeah.
I've got all the things. I've got the tool, the applicator tool. I quite like doing it. If I'm honest,
you've got a bandage tool.
It's like a little plastic thing that goes over your finger and it twists, and it's dead good. But it's very hard to do on your own.
Yeah.
Because you've got. I'm right-handed.
Yeah,
and I've damaged my right thumb, and so I have to do everything left-handed at the moment, and it's very difficult. I did it grating a carrot. You know the mandolin thing.
Yeah.
We were doing. It was on Friday, and the kids were like, "Can we have burgers and chips, Dad?" And I was going, "Yeah, of course you can. Let's do that." And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do some vegetables because I'm a responsible parent.
Yeah, balanced diet.
So I got a carrot, and I thought, what am I going to do with that? So I thought, I know, if I do like wafer thin carrots,
the
kids will eat them. So there I was doing my wafer thin carrots, right? And it was all going really, really well. And then I don't know whether you do this. I don't know whether other people do this, but my mind wanders a bit, and my mind was wandering. I've got a thing to do this week on Friday, and my mind was wandering to that.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking, how am I going to do that? And then the next thing I know, I managed to as I was like, I don't know what the terminology. As I was like ramming the carrot into the thing,
your thumb went with it.
My thumb went into the thing. Oh. And then it stuck. So when my thumb wedged into it quite deeply, it's gone into it like, I don't know, like half an inch maybe. It's quite a long.
Really?
It's quite big, and through the nail. And anyway, I realised I'd done that. So then tried to lift my thumb out, and then
and just sliced it to bits.
No, the whole thing came off the table with my attached to my thumb through the nail, and I was like, so
your thumb was trapped in it.
Yeah, and the blade's kind of gone down through the thumbnail a bit, and then I thought, what am I going to do? And I looked, and there was
is it a machine?
No, it's like imagine like a razor blade.
Yeah,
like a razor blade attached slightly off something. So if you slide the carrot along, you get like a thin slice underneath.
It's like a sideways guillotine.
Yeah, and then and I've kind of wedged my thumb into that.
Oh.
And then,
no, mate.
And then, but I didn't know what to do with it. So being male, I got some kitchen roll. And then I wrapped the kitchen roll around my thumb quickly so I didn't get any blood on anything. And then what I did was I got some insulating tape from my toolbox and then I wound it around it. And then I thought, that'll do.
Yeah.
And then off I popped and did the rest of dinner and everything. And then I went on to Amazon.
Yeah.
And I ordered finger bandage.
Yeah.
And then that's what this is.
It's very good, mate.
It's lovely, isn't it?
I thought that was professional. I thought you'd been away and got it done professionally.
I'm going to, while we're talking about that, I'm just going to, let me just have a quick look on my, I've got my iPad in front of me. And of course I've taken photographs of my injury.
This is going to go really well on the podcast.
Look, that, can you see that?
Whoa!
That's my thumb. And then I did, look, there's a bit there, look. Where's the bit? Like, you see that? It's kind of, it went down through the nail down there, look, and down that bit.
Oh, mate, that's bad.
Yeah, it's not very nice, is it? Anyway, excellent podcasting.
Yeah,
I'm all right. I mean, I'm not
going to share a picture of that. That'll get loads of hits, that will.
Yeah, go and show us your thumb. But it's been all right. Obviously, it gives me a minor problem, given that I'd spend most of my time, all of my time, in a computer.
Yeah.
And I've realised two things since my injury. I haven't been to a doctor, obviously.
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
Lizzie was like, "You need to go to the doctor and have a stitch." Watch this.
Oh, mate, that's straight to A&E.
Just watch this, and then I mended it with kitchen
rolls. Welded it. What you should have done
Super glue.
Yeah,
they do super glue them.
That's what it is.
I didn't do any of that. But anyway, I've realised two things. Three things actually. One is how much I use my thumb and don't think about it, because I forget. Now I've bandaged it correctly, it doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
So, but you forget, and then you go to do something like go to the toilet, and then you zip the zipper bit.
Yeah,
I forget, and then I go, and then you press your finger, and that really hurts, and it makes me squeal like a little girl.
Yeah,
and then the other thing.
How long do you reckon that'll take to get better now?
I don't know.
That's a few weeks, that is.
Do you reckon?
I think so.
Well, I'll report in next week. Yeah. Let you know how it's gone. So I've got that. I've realised that obviously zips are really difficult.
Yeah.
Buttons.
Yeah.
They're really difficult as well. I've realised how often I bang my thumb into things.
Yeah.
I don't think about it.
Yes.
Do you know, door frames and things like that? That makes me whimper a little bit.
You know what? You must be glad you're not a guitarist, because there's nothing worse.
No,
there is nothing worse than if you injure your fingers or your thumb, and you've then got to go and do a set.
Well, I was just going to say that as well, that I didn't realise that you use your thumb when you're typing.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
I'm a touch type. I don't look at the keyboard normally. I kind of just whiz along, and I use the thumb. I use my thumb loads. And I can't get out of that muscle memory.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to type, I'm gesticulating to Chris Howard type in midair, right? Like air typing, and then I can't stop my thumb bashing the keyboard.
Yeah.
So you're doing it, and my brain's like, go on, bash it. Anyway, this is a podcast about music.
Yeah, we've done really well. How long's that? 7 minutes.
7 minutes about my thumb injury.
This is Twisted Sister this week.
We are doing Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister, which is a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
I didn't realise quite how much controversy there was around it.
Well, yeah, there was at the time, wasn't there? It was 1984. It was released. Lots of interesting things about this album, I think. In both that, I guess where Twisted Sister were, they were kind of right in the middle of the the early 80s heavy metal scene.
So this was like Motley Crue and that sort of crowd.
there were a lot of kind of bands in and around that time. Your Poison and stuff as well in there, and there's a lot of kind of bands that were knocking around in that space. But the PMRC, who I've forgotten what are they called, the Parents Musical Resource Centre or something, wasn't it? Yes. Had decided that heavy metal was, making kids do crazy things. Yeah. So in
the same way that this generation is all about games, isn't it? There's always a thing.
There is.
The last generation was films.
Yeah.
And it was horror movies and that sort of thing. And now it seems to be gaming.
I mean, our generation's had all of it. Yeah. We've had all of it. But they had, so the PMRC.
I think my favourite one is Christians Against Masturbation. That's the best. That's
absolutely. I like that one. Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
That's really good.
Yeah,
there's a guy that parodies that.
Oh, really?
And he's like, "Hello, I am going to show you how to talk to a pretty girl." And then it's very, very funny. And it's like he sits next to me and he goes, "Hello," and she goes, "Hello," and then, "How are you?" And then says, "Notice how I did not touch her." It's really, really funny. So anyway, the PMRC created this thing called the Filthy 15, and
which is just the best. You want to be on that list as soon as you say, "Oh, the Filthy 15." You just, I want to be on that list.
I want to be on it. Bizarrely, I wasn't. I don't think I was aware that this thing existed.
No.
But it says the Filthy 15 became a symbol of the PMRC's efforts to clean up the music industry.
And this is where. Sorry, you said just before we went on air. On air. We're on air. We're just
on air.
When we
live.
did the record button. The parental advisory stickers. This is kind of the beginning of that. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was all typical. You always knew an album was going to be good if it had one of those. A parental advisory sticker on it. But they this thing called the Filthy 15, and Twisted Sister were on it. But I'm going to read you some other artists.
There's some you wouldn't expect.
So Judas Priest were on it with "Eat Me Alive." All right, Motley Crue were on it with "Bastard." Prince was on it with "Darling Nikki." Sheena Easton was on it with "Sugar Walls."
Sheena Easton.
Profane or Sexually Explicit. She
What was it? Right.
Potty mouth Sheena.
They wouldn't have done very well with WAP, would they?
No, Wasp was on it. Yeah, Wasp were on it. Merciful Fate were on it. Vanity, Def Leppard, Twisted Sister, with We're Not Gonna Take It. The bit that's really interesting, if you've listened to We're Not Gonna Take It, not particularly. Do you know what I mean? It's not telling you to go and have a Ouija board or do things. It's not telling you about.
Just stick it to the man, innit?
So what they've said it's violent.
Oh, is it? Right.
It's violent. And then you've got Madonna, Dress You Up, Cyndi Lauper, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Mary Jane Girls, and Venom.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's bonkers. I think that would make quite a good compilation album. I do. I think that would be quite good.
Called The Filthy 15.
Yeah. I can't believe no one's done it. I just honestly cannot believe that at that point nobody went, do you know what?
Somebody put this out. Yeah.
Why not?
Because that was actually a bit later than that, but
there was
a big compilation album thing. I mean,
lots of people think that this Filthy 15 gave a lot of these bands a big boost.
So it had the opposite effect.
Yeah. So
rather than censorship, it was like, I need to, like what we just did. I want to be on that list. I need to listen to this music. It's that, isn't it?
I'd want to be on it. So this album, Stay Hungry, sold 3.5 million copies. It's bonkers. The album after it was called Come Out and Play. And then the one before it, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, sold 500,000 each.
Right, yeah.
Neither of those were on the Filthy 15.
No, yeah.
But it's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The number of copies that sold, comparing to others in 1984. So 1984, obviously Van Halen's 1984, that sold 10 million copies. But you also had Ride the Lightning, Power Slave by Iron Maiden, and then Love at First Sting by the Scorpions. That sold 3 million as well. Metal was massive in the 80s. I mean, just enormous. And this, I think Twisted Sister was just that part of it and the face of it. But of course, I think we've got an interview clip of this where Dee Snider was called in to the hearing, the PMRC, to kind of represent metal.
Yeah. And absolutely wipe the floor with them.
I just think it was really interesting. It was
because they didn't expect it, did they?
No, but I think it was like fundamentally flawed. A bit like my brain to it. Who's the ginger singer?
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. Ed Sheeran went in, didn't he? Didn't he get dragged in to say something like he'd copied somebody's melody? And he kind of went into the courtroom and just kind of went, look, 80% of all of the top hits in the past 40 years have been written in the same 4 chords. So you kind of, do you know what I mean? You can't really do that.
Yeah.
And then kind of just absolutely pulled that apart. And Dee was the same, and they were saying things like, "Oh, your lyrics mean this, and your lyrics mean that." And then Dee kind of just went, "Well, the lyrics kind of mean whatever you're going to take from them." Yeah. So they might.
If you're looking for S&M, you'll find S&M.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shall we play that bit of the clip? Because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good clip. It's quite a long one, but it's worth listening to all of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
1984 was a pretty insane time for Twisted Sister. We were hearing bits and pieces about this Parents Music Resource Center and Tipper Gore, but not really registering because we were getting protests and religious groups at every show. So just another parent group that, was putting Twisted Sister on a list of targets. Somebody approached our office that the Senate committee is having a hearing on censorship with the PMRC and wanted to know if I would come and speak. Now, my view of it, when I heard it, was they want me to carry the flag into battle. Hell yeah. Braveheart, baby. Braveheart wasn't even out, but that sort of mentality. Give me the fucking flag, man. Let's go. I knew that they were, like everybody else, grossly underestimating me. I knew that they viewed me as just another dunderheaded rocker, and they would bring me in, make me look like a fool, and I would help their cause. They did not know that I could construct a sentence and speak English fluently. And I'm there in my cut-off denim, my skin-tight jeans, my snakeskin boots, and a little bit of eye makeup left underneath, and my big hair. And I ain't getting dressed up for nobody. I'm a dirtbag, and I'm proud. And I'm playing these people like, mentally I'm setting these guys up for the kill. I have got my speech in my back pocket, which I have worked on for a few weeks and honed and refined till it's a freaking nuclear weapon. Folded up like a gazillion times, like a bad kid bringing his homework to school. And I open it up and I'm flattening it out on the table, really deliberate. And they're going, oh man, this is a lamb being brought to the slaughter. And I start reading.
Since I seem to be the only person addressing this committee today who has been a direct target of accusations from the presumably responsible PMRC, I would like to use this occasion to speak on a more personal note and show just how unfair the whole concept of lyrical interpretation and judgment can be, and how many times this can amount to little more than character assassination.
And I am just tearing apart everything that they've accused me of, disproving beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything they've accused me of has been wrong, false, and they are scrambling. They were saying that Under the Blade was about sadomasochism and bondage. It was about my guitar player's throat operation.
It's not really a wild leap of the imagination to jump to the conclusion that that's about something other than surgery or hospitals, neither of which are mentioned in the song.
No, it's not a wild jump, and I think what I said in one part was that songs allow a person to put their own imagination, experiences, and dreams into the lyrics. People can interpret it many ways. Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism and bondage, and she found it. Someone looking for surgical references would have found it as well.
Yeah.
I said, I can't help that Tipper Gore's got a dirty mind, and Al Gore just, oh my God, he really jumped over the table. They were saying, we're not going to take it, it should be on the Filthy 15 for violence, and it was no more violent than the Declaration of Independence.
Not just a pretty face, is he?
No, I think he shocked him a little bit. Yeah. Quite articulate.
Yeah. I have to apologise to the listeners.
Oh, go on.
For the first section of the podcast, there was a buzz. And listening back, I did my usual, what's that noise? Which sometimes happens. But because the content was so good, I didn't want to re-record it.
We're amazing. Did you know this album, there were some tracks on this album that were re-recorded because of tape hiss?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what we did was tape hiss, but
no, ours was the cloud lifter was too close to the mixer, so it was creating a ground hum.
You just left it on top, didn't you?
I left it on top. Yeah, but it's now moved, which means that the sound quality for this section is infinitely better.
Excellent. It makes me feel
rolled off the top end just a little bit.
Makes me feel happy when I sound good. Do you know the first time I did a public speaking event and heard my own voice through a big PA, a room. It was like 5,000 people in the room. I was doing like a keynote thing, and honestly, you just feel like God. You just like someone comes up to you, everyone's been nice to you. Do you want a cup of coffee? Do you want this? Do you want that? And you go, yeah, just all of that. Give me all of that. Yeah. And then the man comes up and straps the little mic pack on you.
Yeah.
And then they mic you up. And then the sound, I had my own sound, you have your own sound guy, and he just waves at you, and he's like, kind of just do, you're like a performing monkey to a sound guy, I think, and just like make noise monkey. And then, but as soon as you hear your own voice coming out of this massive PA, you just feel like God.
Yeah,
you just and it's amazing.
You should try a studio, like a vocal booth, because it's that, but it is, but no one's listening. So you can do what you want, and you can do silly voices, and then they put reverb on, and then you can go, I am the voice of the Mistral. That's not what the Mistral sounds like.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah, that's it. I am. You can do whatever.
I do all of that.
And they're not recording, so it doesn't matter.
Do you know what I was just about to say? We need to do Aussie, but we did Aussie last week.
You have, live. We have now got a new website.
We have, we're really frustrated with Meta because so our current domain, monstershop.uk, Meta have decided that breaches their community standards. So we need another one. So we're going to register Monster Shop tomwermanrock.com.
Yes.
So that I'm starting to do that now.
Yeah. The old one will still work.
No, we had a meeting. We had as close as we ever have to a podcast meeting before we started recording. And so while Chris has been looking for hisses, I've been registering domains. Shall we talk about the drama for this album?
Yeah, because that's PRMC or whatever it is, PMRC.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only controversy around this.
Well, it's really, I think this is fascinating, and you'll have, I'm sure I'll get your take on this, but it was produced by a dude called Tom Werman. Now, you might recognize Tom Werman's name because he's mega famous, and he did In Colour by Cheap Trick in 1977. He did Shout at the Devil from Motley Crue, which is pretty excellent. If anyone's got a copy of that, by the way, I'm looking for a vinyl. And Open Up and Say Ah by Poison. I remember I was switching from, I was going to start GCSEs, when you switch schools.
Yeah.
And I bought that tape. I went from school, lunchtime, didn't really want to go back to school in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I went down to Martin's Records in Ashby de la Zouch, and he had that marked down. I think it was 99p or something like that.
Wicked.
And I was like, I'm having that. And then I got the bus home. And that was.
Didn't go back to school.
No, I just went home. That's what I did back then. I was a horror. But I remember Open Up and Say Oh, I think is one of the albums I can sing all of the songs, all of the lyrics, all the way from end to end. I found out I really loved that. I always thought thrash metal was where my heart lay, but actually I've gone back and listened to it. I think that it was a lot of that hair metal stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, I was talking about Tom Werman. So Tom Werman produced this thing. He was brought in by the record company, right? So he was brought in to make this thing,
make it a hit. Make it sell.
Yeah. So Atlantic brought him in, and it was like, you need to break this band in the US. They've got to be big. And that's what he did. He was like, I mean, kind of poppy sound, big sound, and that's what he was brought in to do. Did the album. Album was a huge success, right? So Stay Hungry was massive. It was massive right from day one almost. It just sold really well. Lots of the singles were huge. Tons of airplay from everybody. It was massive. Since then, Dee Snider has been on the record quite a few times saying that him and Tom disagreed hugely with like just everything. So of the singles, We're Not Gonna Take It was one, and I Wanna Rock was the other, and then The Price. But Dee claims that Tom was fighting and didn't want We're Not Gonna Take It or I Wanna Rock on the album at all. He felt that they were not.
They're the biggest, aren't they?
Yeah, he felt that they were not the ones that were there. And also, Dee Snider said he doesn't like the sound. He always claimed he doesn't like it. And famously, they re-recorded it.
Yeah.
So they totally re-recorded it and released an album called Still Hungry. I think it was 2004.
Yeah, that's how much of a back on he had with the producer, is that he just
it's crazy. So I think what the best thing, shall we play? We've got a lovely interview clip from Tom talking about this, and then I think we'll do some back-to-backs of the original recording.
I tried to separate the wheat from the chaff and get rid of the weak parts of a song and exploit the strong parts. And, with all of these guys, all the bands that I worked with, Ted, Cheap Trick, Molly Hatchet, Motley, Twisted Sister, Kix, LA Guns, Poison, I did the same thing with all of them, really. I didn't make the same record with all of them. I didn't treat the songs the same way, but I produced the stuff so that it caught your ear. You'd sing it in the shower. I produced it so it would be a commercial hit. If I hadn't, just think what Dee would have said about me then. Not only did this guy destroy our album, it didn't sell. I mean, where are you gonna turn with this guy? So that's it. The rest of the guys were great. JJ was good. Sorry to see AJ die so young, but these were good guys. Mark, the Animal, they were really nice guys and funny. Dee was a two-faced, backslapping con man. Dee Snider was there for the mixes. Dee Snider approved every single mix. So really, if he doesn't like the album, it's just as much his fault as it might be mine. So, he blames somebody else. Gee, who else blames somebody else for everything that's happening? There's no question that my approach to music, to recorded music, was more pop. But that's what worked. That's what got people on the radio. That's why Surrender was a hit. That's why Cat Scratch Fever was a hit. That's why I made hit singles. That was the only way to sell millions of albums, which would have been confined or restricted to FM play only. He's got one of the most licensed songs in the history of recorded music, probably. And he's bitching and bitching and bitching. He's, oh God, he's this and he's that. I don't know. I mean, it is mysterious to me. I will say that during the album, he was really nice. He's very agreeable, friendly, and he had a good attitude. He wasn't unhappy in the studio. He didn't complain in the studio. He didn't pace back and forth in frustration. He worked just as they all did. All the other guys in the band worked. Everybody was going forward. And the minute that album was delivered, he started with the acid. We went up, I took my baby, my little girl at the time, and my wife, and we went up to New Hampshire to see their first show after the recording. It was boiling hot. It was about 90 degrees, full sun, outdoor gig. And we went up to see them, to support them, because, they were playing live. I wanted to see them live again. I'd only seen them live once. So after the show, we're waiting by their bus to go in and say hi. He knows we're out there, and he won't even open the door to the bus. Makes us sit there for 30, 40 minutes in the blazing sun, assuming that we could go in and just say hi. Just say hi. No, not D. No, he's got to make you suffer. Just don't understand it. But I have to assume that the guy has major issues. Somebody sent me his book. And in his book, he says, I'm not going to quote it, I'm sure, but he says something close to, Tom Werman personally destroyed our album. He personally destroyed it. And to which I can only reply, and so what happened to it? Well, if I destroyed it, I guess it didn't work. I guess it was unpopular. It didn't sell. As I said, when I replied to Blabbermouth, that song and that album made him a multimillionaire for life. And he's pissed. What is that about? What could that be about? What happened to the next album? Dieter Dierks, good producer, very successful producer. They want to go with a different producer. They go with him. What happens? Gee, a stiff record. Well, you never hear him talk about that. I don't know exactly why I'm being, flailed and punished and beaten verbally by D for even working on with them a huge hit album worldwide. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, really. Somebody says, geez, I really wish the sound on that album would have been harder, tougher, more aggressive, more bottom. Fine. Hey, I can take it. I'm a grown-up. I'm not perfect. I did pretty good work. But, yeah, sure, I can see you disagreeing with the sonic avenue I chose. To say the things that he says, he's got an issue with me.
And there was still a slight buzz, but I've changed the cable, so it should be better now.
Oh. It's buzzing. It's like that Peter Kay joke where he says it's buzzing in here.
We shall see. We shall see whether I've solved the problem. So we've got the price.
Yeah.
From the original record.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go into the kind of re-recorded version from 2004.
Cool. And then we'll talk about the remasters as well, of which there have been many.
So it's a different key. A totally different key, different chords, different everything.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Now, we all know that I don't like anything. I don't like remasters. I don't like remixes. I don't like that. And I think the reason I don't like it isn't because it's a waste of time. It's because I can't go back and listen to the original anymore. So, this particular album. All right, so if I wanted to go back and listen to the original 1984 version of Stay Hungry, because that's the one that I remember listening to as a kid and I want to go and listen to it, it's remarkably hard to find. Because if you go now on Apple Music, all you can see is the 2024 40th anniversary remaster. That's it. That's the only one you can hear.
So it's the original recording but remastered.
Yeah.
Not that one we just played there, the 2004 re-recorded version called Still Hungry.
Yeah, so there's two remasters. So there's the 25th anniversary in 2009 and the 40th anniversary, which is obviously this year.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. We've talked about this before. I like this kind of high resolution digitization of old analog things. Those analog tapes are not going to last forever.
Yeah.
And I really like the concept of going back and, using more modern tape heads and tape machinery and plucking all of the detail, everything you can get off them and putting it somewhere digitally. And I'm a big fan of that. I think that's great. And I'm kind of okay with the remastering stuff. I can't, tweaking a little bit and doing a little bit of digital cleverness on there. I'm okay with that to some degree. But what I don't like is the way they immediately yank the originals off the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So, unless you've got the CD or the vinyl of Stay Hungry, it's actually quite difficult to go and go and get it. If you go and buy it now, like if you go onto iTunes or where you think, I'm going to go and buy a copy of it.
Yeah.
It pretty much slams you into the 40th anniversary version, whether you want it or not. So that's that bit dealt with. Oh no, I have to be honest. The 40th, both the 25th and the 40th, they sound okay. They've not ruined them in any way, and it doesn't offend me listening to them. I just don't like not having the choice.
But what? Before we just go to the next bit, there's another bit of that interview. With the producer.
Should we have some? Which is this bit?
This is where it gets a bit more personal.
Oh yeah, the Saxon cover.
Yeah.
I made I committed the terrible crime of saying, "Hey, I like this song. Maybe you could do it." He said, "Well, it's Saxon." That's right. It's Saxon. I really liked it. I think it was Strong Arm of the Law or something like that. Saxon was a good band. He said, "We've toured with them. We know them." Okay. But the way he put it, it was like, what in God's name is a producer doing? Suggesting to me, Dee Snider, who writes songs, that I should do a song that somebody else wrote. We do it all the time, I've done cover songs with everybody. Motley Crue did Smokin' in the Boys' Room. Poison did Your Mama Don't Dance. Top 10 single. So I said it. I recommended it. And he goes nuts. He wanted me to do a Saxon song, for God's sake. That's right, B. I wanted you to do that. And you said no. Did I force you to do it? No, because I can't. If I had the power to keep one of these songs off the album, then I would have had the same power, to force him to put another song on the album. Obviously, I don't have that power as a producer, and I never did, nor do many other producers. The producer is a hired gun. You fire him if you don't like him. In their case, he was pissed because he was forced to work with me by Doug Morris, who was a fairly successful record guy, songwriter, number 2 or 3 guy in the recorded music industry, behind Clive and Ahmet. And he, here's a guy, called me up and he said, Tom, you are the only producer I can think of who I think can make a hit with this band. And I really want this band to break in the United States. So, of course, I said yes. And, of course, I knew that my job was to make them a commercial success. Gee, I don't know. I really don't know what I could have done different to satisfy this guy. The record that he made with the band, the re-record, he said, that's the way we should have sounded. I don't know who marketed it, but I understood that in the beginning. beginning, or after its release, it sold about 25,000 records. Cheap Trick did the same thing. Years later, you're not so good. At the time, you're great. They're selling millions of records. We love you. We love you, Tom. You're the best. And then 20 years later, he didn't get our sound right. He wasn't focused. He barely gave a damn about us. He tried to keep our best songs off the record. Whatever you like. It's just like, I think I'll revise history here a little bit. The guys didn't, at that time, they were not that good with getting the best out of their instruments. They were not their musicianship next to somebody like Cheap Trick was not as good. Cheap Trick was easy to record. They were really good on their instruments. All of them. And Robin was good was an incredible vocalist. Dee was very good in the studio. And he was a good director, and he would say, no, let's do this, I think it should be played like this. And I didn't shut him down. I listened to him. I collaborated. But we had some technical issues that we had to work through, and probably did a whole lot more takes in terms of the musical track than I would have done with other bands. Probably spent more time recording. That's why it was a difficult album. This is kind of the same as Poison. No ringers, but the guys worked hard. They stayed in there. They worked hard, and we worked long, hard hours, and the product was great. And it was an honest record because I didn't bring in this guy and bring in that guy, to substitute for one of the bands. I always worked with a band member.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know, when you hear records, you assume that everyone gets on. You assume that everyone's friends and it's all loving. But it sounds like it was during the time, and then suddenly something happened afterwards, maybe.
I think this is one of the things I don't get. So, like at this point in time, metal was huge. It was massive. You could have walked into a studio, vomited, and as long as you were in like one of a handful of studios, you'd have had a platinum selling record, right? It would be massive.
Yeah.
It then started to change, right? So in the early 90s, where rock just wasn't selling very well, and it was all, if you weren't Alice in Chains or Soundgarden or Nirvana, you weren't going to sell any records, right?
Yeah.
And then you can understand like the cracks showing and people falling out and arguing, and it's like, well, it's
the idea when something's not going right, you look inward.
It's not my guitar playing, it's not my drumming, it's you. It's your production of it. It's the artwork. Do you know what I mean? And at this point in time, that wasn't happening, and it was massive. It was a huge selling record. This was. But Dee then, seems to be like super critical of Tom for some reason. And I don't know whether that's, maybe Tom getting credit for the albums being successful, because the albums prior and post were not. They sold like 500,000
I
each.
see. So how come that record's good? It's not because of the band. It's not because of Dee Snider.
It was all because of Tom
Werman.
Right. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. And then he goes, no, it's not. It's the songs. It's the craft. It's us guys. It's
exactly.
So I'm gonna show you by re-recording it.
So,
wow. Okay.
So I don't know what was happening. I don't know what. I mean, we weren't there. We don't know what was going on. But I just find it fascinating to see a really popular, successful album being criticised. You'd have thought that they'd have just gone, no, actually, this was brilliant. Everyone had a great time. It was phenomenal. It was dream team. Great artist, great songwriting, brilliant studio, great producer. That's what you get, kind of thing. So yeah, I just think it's a bit odd.
The other bit is the insinuation that as musicians they weren't really on top of their instruments.
Yeah, but he said that about Poison as well, didn't he? Did you include that in the clip?
Yeah.
Because he says, Poison, but they worked hard, but they weren't brilliant. Yeah, and I don't know. At that point in time in the 80s, I'm trying to think who musically who was like King of the Hill, because they weren't. It was about being big and bombastic.
No. It's the you talk about Lars and Metallica, and people really give him a hard time as a drummer, because he can't do all the big flashy paradiddles that you see on the drum demos and all that sort of stuff. It's like, no, but he's the drummer in Metallica.
Yeah,
you're like that other guy isn't the drummer in Metallica. If that guy was in Metallica, it wouldn't be the same band.
Wouldn't sound the same. Yeah. You're right. It's but metal at that point in time, it wasn't like. And the lyrics to this album are they're horrific, and we probably should talk about that in a bit. But I think the album's aged pretty well. It's of its time.
Yeah.
But the
but when you
songs
and
the riffs
when you play it back to back, that new of it's the wrong one. It's not right. It's not even the remaster is like it needs that punky thing.
It does. It needs to sound. And there's this thing where they don't want to have don't want it to sound too polished and stuff. It doesn't. It sounds to me. It sounds like 1984 metal. It sounds exactly like it should do, and it sounds great. It's exactly as I remember it. It's brilliant. I don't think that it needs mucking about with. I just don't think you would go and do it. There's a difference between going and picking, like Queen. We talked about last week. Have ruined their new project by auto-tuning Freddie's voice. But I love the fact that was originally recorded in mono. So Queen, their album Queen, was originally recorded in mono, and it's got tape hiss on it, and so going back, taking that, bringing that into Pro Tools in a good way, and then making a stereo version of that. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not. I mean, it's probably breaking all my own rules, but I'm not opposed to that.
There's the thing to do with the copyright though, isn't there, as well?
Oh, I don't know.
So there's two types of copyright. If you think about it, there's the copyright of the song, and the copyright of the recording.
Right,
and they're two different things.
Yeah, the record company owns the recording, and the artist owns
the publisher owns all the artists,
the song,
the right holders, and that runs out
eventually.
On I can't remember quite which one it is. I think it's the recording one runs out first,
right,
and the songwriting one runs out a certain amount of time after the songwriter's death.
Oh,
and so they have to renew the recordings and bring new ones out because they run out of copyright. So the fact that you said earlier about they disappear, there might be a method to that madness in that isn't copyrighted anymore.
Oh, so anyone can use it.
Yeah,
so we can use it.
Yeah,
great. The other thing I want to talk about, actually, while we're talking about that, is guess who sold their back catalogue for $400 million this week?
Oh, was it Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd, to Sony.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? You cannot sell me any more copies of Dark Side of the Moon because you can't.
You've got them all.
They can't. They just can't.
Unless they fall off the side in the break.
Yeah, I've had that framed. I'm going to take the damaged one's been framed. Can't tell, it looks lovely.
Yeah.
But I mean, the universe, you can't physically fit any more copies of Dark Side of the Moon in the universe. It's full. It's completely full. But I don't know, the 400, how are they going to get the 400 million quid's worth? What are they going to do with it?
I don't know.
It's going to, there's going to be, box sets. There's already box sets of everything. I've got a lovely box set of Pulse.
I suppose sometimes though, it depends about the songwriting again though, because they could sort of say, well, we'll just let it go for sync-on stuff so it can be used on anything. Oh, they were always famously like, you're not using it. They hated it,
And actually Gilmour, sort of a lovely interview with him, and he basically said, the band is so broken. That relationship with Waters is so broken. He said, I am not,
that's not going to rekindle.
Basically said, look, I don't need that hassle anymore. I'm at a point in my life. I'm not. I'm counting down the end of my days. I don't want to spend it, chasing people on email to approve pointless, tiny little things to get things released and to keep keep the band moving.
Let go.
I'm done.
Yeah,
it's that simple. So it's not like, oh, I want loads of money. So I don't need loads of money. But I want rid of. I want rid of Pink Floyd, essentially, which is sad, but really interesting.
Understandable though, given you say the relationship so.
But I just want to know what
how do they make that money back?
Well, where's your 400 million? Where are you going to get that back? I mean, they're not going to play any they're not going to play any shows anymore. They hate each other.
Yeah.
All you've got is the likenesses. Oh, I wonder if it's AI.
It might be.
They could do an AI. Oh God, could you imagine the horror of that? Getting Gilmour and doing an AI.
Yeah, an AI.
Oh, that's made me go all funny inside.
It might be,
That's made me go all funny inside.
That's a bit tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but it's happening, isn't it? They're feeding it with some stuff.
Don't like that.
No.
Holographic Pink Floyd.
New Pink Floyd songs.
Oh, Can you imagine that? Have AI, have ChatGPT make up some new Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd and Michael Jackson.
Oh dear. That's brilliant. Did you know, while we're talking about Michael Jackson, Thriller, this was out in 1984. Thriller was, 1982, was it?
I don't know, actually.
Thriller was still in the charts.
Yeah, right.
When this was 2 years after it was released, Thriller was still in the charts. And as I was doing my research for our blog, I noticed it was still in the charts.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Bonkers. I had to go, I was like, there's no way that can still be in the charts.
I've probably said this before, but you know who the band were for Thriller?
No.
You not know?
No.
Do you not?
No, I thought it was like Michael's band.
It's Toto.
Really?
Yeah, Toto. Pretty much. Not like all the members, because there are loads of them, but a lot of the members of Toto are basically Michael Jackson's studio band.
We should do something from Toto.
Yeah.
I'll have to check they're in our database.
Yeah.
I reckon I should do that. I've totally lost the plot where we are.
Oh, no, we were talking about, we just went well off track there. I think we should probably play a song, to be fair.
Should we play a song, and then I'll do some facts.
I want to play I Wanna Rock.
I Wanna Rock!
The American record companies don't like anything that's unusual or strange, and they don't like to take a chance on any kind of different music or a different way of looking, and they're always watching Great Britain to see what Great Britain's doing. If Great Britain signs Boy George, they sign 27 Boy Georges just like him. So we figured if they were watching Great Britain, we'd come here and get our start here, and then maybe they'd recognize us then, and as a result, it has happened in the United States. We're about 1.5 million records in 5 months now in the States and 2 million records worldwide, so it's finally happening. When it started out, the whole idea was that we were an aggressive sort of metal band, and we decided to shake people up a little bit with, instead of glam rock, hid rock, since we were hideous. And we wore all sorts of feminine makeup and clothing to shake people up, and it did. In the old days, I used to be fighting every single night just to, get out of the bar, or the pub, as you would say. All these bands like Kiss and Motley Crue and Twisted Sister were all Alice Cooper clones in a way. We all were into Alice Cooper, and we got our ideas from Bowie and Cooper, and that's why we're very similar. But we're really not exactly like Kiss. Kiss really went for the mass. They would never appear on a show like this, without their makeup on or something like that. And if you can't step back and see that there's humor in everything in life. Humor in politics, there's humor in TV shows, and there's humor in heavy metal. And if you can't laugh at a thing like the Young Ones' Bad News Tour or Spinal Tap or something like that, if you can't see the humor in what you're doing, then I think you're really going to have a problem dealing with the world.
Yeah, so that interview was from The Tube that you found. It was Paulie Yates.
I know. We both said I recognise her name, recognise her voice, but I couldn't. I remember her. She was a big part of my young youth.
Yeah. So another part of the interview, just to play, I don't think it really fits into it, but it's a really interesting thing is how much Dee Snider was inspired by Stephen King.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, isn't it? It's the song Horror Terraria. Can't say it. It's made up of two songs, really, Captain Howdy and Street Justice. But he just says he dedicates it to Stephen King. He's a big Stephen King and horror fan. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's really interesting. That is, I hadn't realised that until I heard that interview.
I like horror movies. The Exorcist is probably the greatest film I ever saw. I mean, I like to be scared. I like to be shaken up. And Stephen King, it's better than a movie because he plays with your mind. And I've just read everything he's ever done, and a lot of bands have. I mean, The Alarm from this country, they have a song called The Stand, or an album called The Stand that's named after a Stephen King book. And it's just, I like horror, and he has a way of really scaring the out of you.
I can't remember whether we said this already, but the buzz, which we fixed partway through, was actually a cable issue.
Was it?
I can't remember if we said that or not.
Buzzing.
But yeah, we're fine now. We're okay.
I've got a green one.
Yeah, it's a green one. What was it before? Blue?
I'm pretty sure that green one gave us a buzz as well in the past. Shall I do some facts?
Yes.
I'm going to do my facts. So I'm basically reading off our blog.
Which you can find at monstershoprock.com.
I think you can. It's almost live. No, I'm just looking. It says pending.
Oh, very good. So by the time you hear this, it'll be there.
Might be done.
Yeah.
Released on May 10th, 1984. Runtime, guess how long?
47 minutes.
36 minutes.
Really short. That's really short. Wow.
Albums were short. Metal albums were short back then. 9 tracks initially. It was recorded on Atlantic. Recorded at the Record Plant in New York and Westlake in Los Angeles and Cherokee Studios in Hollywood as well by Tom Werman. I think it's really interesting listening to the stories with the producer and Dee falling out. Again, I think that's fascinating.
But it feels like they fell out afterwards.
Yes, I mean, I do. I think you're right.
That bit still for me, like from listening to what they both said, really, like felt like they were okay, and then
this is like a beef after the fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Dee Snider, lead vocals. Eddie Fingers Ojeda, lead guitar. Wouldn't you live to be called Fingers?
Yeah.
If I was going
called Thumbs.
If I was going to have a nickname, I'd love to be
Carrot Thumb.
I'd love to be called Fingers. JJ French rhythm and Mark the Animal Mendoza bass and backing vocals, and AJ Pero on drums. Which I think is excellent. The studio's standard issue studio stuff. I looked over all of those studios, and it's standard Neumann Shaw mics, SSL desks, 1176 compressors, and 24-track analog tape. So pretty much exactly what you would expect. Tom Werman produced, like we talked about. Also worked with Cheap Trick, Motley Crue, and Poison, which we talked about before. Open Up and Say I think is excellent. Shout at the Devil was excellent as well. Motley Crue were phenomenal back then. Cheap Trick 1977. I was too young for that.
Right.
I saw Cheap Trick supporting Def Leppard on the Hysteria tour, and they were excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe I went back and really, really fell in love with Cheap Trick. Like 40 years after. Which I think is phenomenal. Stay Hungry sold 3.5 million copies, which is a lot. The album released before it was You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, sold 500,000, and Come Out and Play after in 1985, which sold 500,000.
Same,
which is, again, I think really interesting. Albums released in the same year were 1984 by Van Halen, Ride the Lightning by Metallica, Power Slave by Iron Maiden, and Love at First Sting by the Scorpions. I think Ride the Lightning might be Metallica's second best album.
After?
Master of Puppets, yeah, I reckon. The thing is,
controversial.
Well, the thing is, because I'm excited because Master of Puppets is 1986.
They're going to re-record Master of Puppets.
It's the greatest year for music ever.
Of course it is. Yeah, you say that. Yeah.
But they've done some really cool. I've got the 40th anniversary repressing of Ride the Lightning from Metallica, and it's this beautiful see-through blue splatter thing.
Nice.
And on my little glass platter, it just looks amazing. I could just watch it. Just turn. You don't know what
you've got a glass platter.
Yeah. Have you not got a glass platter?
No.
It's lovely. The album itself were 3 singles. I think We're Not Gonna Take It, I Wanna Rock, and The Price. We're Not Gonna Take It was the massive one. That was the just epic, just ridiculously big. He talked on the D-Talks about their influences. Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
I think we talked about all of the metal artists at that point being influenced by Alice Cooper, and I think that's a given. Yeah. Alice Cooper has the most epic radio show on Planet Rock.
Yeah.
When I was going to shoot gigs at Rock City a lot, I'd often have Alice Cooper on the way back, and he was excellent.
He's a nerd, isn't he?
Oh, honestly,
music nerd.
He's lovely. He's one of those people that you think is just going to be like diva-ish and massive, and he's just so obsessed with the scene and horror and just all of that stuff, and he knows all these people, so the stories he's got are phenomenal. And just there's
anyway. a great podcast, the Rock on Tours, that he did with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt. It was brilliant. Really good.
Excellent podcast. They're nearly as big as we are. Keep trying, lads. But yeah, no, he's lovely. I really love Alice Cooper. But again, influences AC/DC, I think, and Kiss as well. Huge influences. We talked about some of the things about this album, but the PMRC. So 5 things you need to know about this album. The PMRC added "We're Not Going to Take It" to the Filthy 15.
I want to be on the Filthy 15.
Yeah, me too. The videos for We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock featured actor Mark Metcalf and became MTV staples.
I don't know who that is.
It's Mark Metcalf. Film appearances, Burn in Hell.
Sounds like it should be in the bill.
He might be. Yeah. Maybe it's the guy with the shoes. Film appearances, Burn in Hell was performed by Twisted Sister in the film Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
So they're kind of running through the movie studio, and Twisted Sister are there on the bonnet of the car recording the thing, which is interesting. Album cover was shot by Mark Weiss. Again, it's an interesting style, I think, like just really over the top and kind of crazy. In 2004, they re-recorded the album as Still Hungry, revisiting the original tracks with a modern twist. I don't like it. I suggest you give that a miss. We've talked about the Filthy 15 already. My favourite song on there, I think, is Wasp's Fuck Like a Beast. I saw them on their 89 and Headless tour, and they were phenomenal. I really liked that a lot. It's also got Def Leppard High and Dry on there, and I think that's excellent. Film and movie usage, film and TV, We're Not Gonna Take It has been on Iron Eagle, movie from 1986, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Trip, 2015, The Emoji Movie, 2017, and Ready Player One, 2018.
I like
Ready Player One's brilliant. It's got is it I Love Rock and Roll? It's just some brilliant music in Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing, I think, from that is that it's had a bit of a resurgence. So back in the day, this was not used in TV and movie particularly.
It's
so
been
it was used
since, right? Got it. Yeah,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It was used in Iron Eagle. It was used, but the others, like I Wanna Rock, was used in Road Trip. I Wanna Rock was used in The Deuce as well. 2017. So
that's interesting, isn't it?
Reviews. So Sputnik Music is like a user review channel, and somebody reviewed it and said they gave it 2.5 out of 5 and said it was a bland, repetitive mess. But Mike Lodano gave it 5 out of 5. Excellent review. If you get a chance, MikeLodano.com. He is pretty cool and reviews lots of albums, and he says it's essential for both new and long time fans.
Brilliant.
2 remasters, 25th anniversary edition, 40th anniversary edition. Both sound the same, pretty much. There's not a massive difference in them. They're the usual remastered affairs, a little bit less noise, a little bit louder, but good. And obviously come along with beautiful vinyl splattery things, which everybody likes. And that's it for me with facts. I'm facted out now.
Good facts.
Good facts.
So what we need to do is maybe play a song and then come back with what we're going to be doing next week.
Oh, I'll get the machine ready.
You're gonna burn in hell.
What is it? I can't see from here.
Nevermind.
Oh, that is
Nirvana.
interesting. We've done that.
Chosen. No, we didn't.
No,
we did In Utero.
Yeah.
This will be really interesting because
Yeah.
this was the commercial one, wasn't it? This was the one that got radio play and broke Kurt Cobain essentially, didn't it?
Yeah,
It was dealing with commercial success when you hated commercial success. It's the irony, like the Rage Against the Machine. Do you know what I mean? It's like we hate corporate monopolies, we hate everything,
but we kind of are now.
Yeah, but we're now this big corporate machine now, and that was, I think, it's one of those things that really broke Kurt, wasn't it? He didn't want to be, he didn't want to be that person. So, very interesting album. I think lots of stories in there. The cover, that dude, I've forgotten his name, but the baby, reaching for the money, and then, like, was it 20 years later, he redid it again as a grown up. He redid it again and then sued them for it. There's tons of interesting stuff here, isn't there? So many uses of that album, all the songs. And the production quality of it.
Insane production on there.
And I think that album was singularly, well, lots of people say that it was that album that was singularly responsible for the death of like hair metal. Prior to Nevermind, it was all big. It was Bon Jovi's Big Hair. It was Poison. It was. I mean, Guns N' Roses to some degree were kind of impacted by this stuff as well. But this really represented this massive change in the industry. So I'm excited for this one, Baldwin.
Good one to do. Right then, see you next week.
See you all. Bye.